Good morning from Arizona. Last time I get to say that this year, but you know what happens with the new labor agreement? Maybe the last time I get to say it for a couple of years. But let's be positive here. We're going to look at the roster. We're going to talk spring breakout, and we're going to do that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yes, and there you go. Look at those two guys, Kumar Rocker, Jacob Latz. They're going to be part of the first segment, the camp rundown, because, um, well, they're the last two pitchers since our last show. They're still competing for the fifth spot, and there's been some potential movement there. Greetings from Surprise Stadium. Jeff Wilson here in Arizona. Elijah handling the controls back there in Dallas, making sure that this thing goes off without a hitch, which with me is never a safe bet. So God bless and Godspeed to Elijah. Yeah, we're here. It's Friday, the 20th. We're down to our final 2 days of camp. Camp breaks tomorrow, night game tonight. Nathan Evaldi is on the mound. And here in a couple hours will be the spring breakout game between the Rangers and the Royals. It is going to be sweltering hot in the middle of a record heat wave for Arizona, which I think is probably saying something pretty significant. Can't get out of here soon enough as far as the weather is concerned. Of course, I absolutely love spring training and always get a little bit uh, sad inside when it ends. It's something that goes back to fourth grade for me. It was the first time me and my family drove out from Colorado, spring of '85. We drove to riding the high of the Cubs, NL East division win in '84, and Ryan Sandberg winning the MVP, and Rick Sutcliffe, Cy Young. My mom was a big Cubs fan growing up, so we went out and went every year until 12th grade, until I went off to college. So anyway, um, little trip down memory lane for me. It was nice. Okay, here we go with the camp run down. And we're going to start with what happened Wednesday. We're going to do this in chronological order. Wednesday, Rangers played the Royals, night game. Played really well, 12-3 win. Kumar Rocker pitched in that one run in 4 innings, 6 strikeouts, 99 miles per hour on his first pitch. The slider was really good. Didn't throw a lot of changeups. Offensively, Wyatt Langford and Andrew McCutcheon, they both hit 3-run homers. So continued great spring for Wyatt. And then Andrew, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, continued his great, what has it been? 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks ago today. He arrived in Rangers camp. It's been pretty good, pretty good. On the backfields that day, I mentioned it was happening during the show. Jack Leiter pitched, allowed 2 runs in 6 innings against some Dodgers minor leaguers. 80 pitches, felt good about it. His cutter, um, I think a little bit is being too much is being made of the cutter. It's not like he's overhauling his repertoire. He's just trying to add a pitch. Um, he's not going to throw it a ton. Anyway, he was working on that with mixed results, so maybe a little concern there. But again, it's not like his new pitch. I mean, it's not his main pitch. Everything else seems to be okay there. All right, so last night, Thursday, 11-4 loss to the Brewers. This one's a little more fresh in our minds and maybe a little bit amplified. Jacob Latz, 9 runs in 3+ innings. He pitched in 4 innings, but he couldn't finish 2 of them. There was some hard contact, a couple walks, did okay on the strikeouts. And then there was a velocity dip later in the start, a pattern that has kind of perplexed him and the Rangers this spring, though there might have been a couple reasons for it last night. Um, Zeke Duran and Mark Canha both homered. They each have 3 home runs this spring. They are both trying to win a bench spot, making it pretty tough. Now, I talked about Latz, some of the things he ran into. He was warming up, and he said he was in a great rhythm, and he threw like the first 7 or 8 pitches. Like, this is going to be a good night. Then he had a bloody nose. Like I said, it's been very, very hot here, and it's very, very dry here, as always. And those nose capillaries don't handle that well sometimes. So he's warming up while bleeding. He, he had to stop a couple times with a towel and wipe the blood away. He said he went through 2 towels, which I'm assuming ended up in the trash very quickly thereafter. And then the second factor that might have contributed to maybe the velocity dip, at least, when he was removed from the third inning, um, there was a long wait. Dane Acker came in, so he had to warm up. Then he walked a guy, gave up a homer, got an out. Then the Rangers had a really good offensive inning, so it was a long wait until Jacob went back out. I figured he was done at that point, but he came out 1, 2, 3 inning with less velocity. Also contributing to his long night were 2 errors. One was scored a hit, but it was very clearly an error. And then the second one was on a double play grounder to Sam Haggerty. Both were Haggerty plays, and he just bungled it, and that allowed some bad things to happen. So, what was Skip Schumacher's evaluation of the 2 starts? Well, he loves Rocker's velo and slider. He calls the slider as good as anybody's else's off-speed pitch in the game, which is incredibly high praise considering all the great off-speed pitches that are out there and the great off-speed pitches that are in the Rangers rotation. Jacob DeGrom throws a pretty good slider, and Evaldi's split finger, one of the best in the game. Um, what Skip doesn't love and what continues to be a problem for Rocker is he can't control the run game. The first time the Royals tried to run against him, Kyle Higashioka threw the guy out. They ran 3 more times and they weren't even close. One of those led to the only run that was scored against Rocker. And then Rocker hasn't been throwing his changeup as much as Skip thinks he needs to. Um, Now, if you're 99 and that good of a slider and you're commanding him, you can probably get by with 2 pitches, but probably probably a changeup could be used. I know Kumar throws a cutter as well, or at least he flirted with it last year, but probably needs a little more in his arsenal. So Schumacher loves what Latz did last year. He says he's had a good spring, knows how to pitch. Uh, you know, 4 pitch mix, has the experience. The run game, although the Brewers did get 2 off of him last night, run game's not really a problem. Jake's a great athlete, fields his position well, gets to first base, which Kamar almost did on the very first play of the game Wednesday. Skip called Thursday tough. But before the game, in the afternoon session with us, Skip had said that with only a handful of games remaining, probably very likely that like a hot streak or a cold streak or a bad game wasn't going to affect the outcome. I don't know. I bet it at least has been brought up in their meetings that they've already had this morning, and will be brought up again as they try to piece this opening day roster together. Now, Skip has said as recently as 2 days ago that Cal Quantrill and Austin Gomber are still candidates for the rotation. Quantrill, he hasn't pitched, I don't believe, since his return from the World Baseball Classic, where he pitched well for Team Canada in one start. Gomber wasn't very good in his first outing of the spring, but he's really steadily improved and was pretty good his last time out. They're both due to pitch, I think, the next couple days. I think Gomber might be going in a minor league game today. I'm not sure about that. Quantrill, the thought is that he will start tomorrow's finale at Salt River Fields against the Diamondbacks. Jacob DeGrom might pitch in a minor league game that day. That would make that possible. So Quantrill, what do we know about Quantrill? I mean, it's a name you've heard if you've followed baseball since the '90s. You know the Quantrill name because his dad Paul pitched for the Blue Jays. That's why Quantrill Cal was born in Canada. And anyway, he's a sinker baller, right? keeps it on the ground, keeps it in the ballpark. Two very important things. He didn't do that very well last year, though. Not a good year. And he doesn't strike out a ton of guys, and that always seems to be a concern. Um, it doesn't have to strike out a bunch of guys, but he really doesn't strike out very many guys. Austin Gomber, what do we know about him? He was a big Cardinals prospect. Then he got traded to the Rockies, I believe, in the Arenado deal. So we don't, and so how good is he? He's had to pitch at elevation for half of his games in his career, basically. And if you go back and remember what John Gray said after he came from the Rockies, like in Colorado, pitchers have to have two different curveball grips, one for the road, one for home, and it's hard. It's hard to get them both down. Um, Gomber is not a hard thrower. Okay. He's left-handed, which could work to his advantage because I think ideally the Rangers would like to have two lefties in the rotation. Um, but he can log innings. He's been around. He was hurt a little bit last year, but no issues it seems so far this spring. Both have outs. This is important to recognize. They have outs at the end of spring training. Um, Schumacher, he talked about how guys with outs are potentially shaping this roster. He said that yesterday. So, can Gomber or Quantrill leverage those? How important is the depth? We talked about that the other day. How important do the Rangers feel like depth is, and would they have to keep one of these guys on the major league roster to make sure that they still have enough starting pitching when those inevitable injuries come? With the exception of the 2011 team, which went to the World Series, the Rangers have always had guys on the injured list from the rotation. It happens. It happens a lot. It happens to, you know, Nathan Eovaldi. He's never avoided the injured list since joining the Rangers. He only has two career seasons with 30 starts or more. So you just brace yourself for when that happens. And that's why Chris Young always says you can never have enough starting pitching. And with the state of the farm system, you know, you take a look at their top two, their most advanced prospects. Jose Corniel, who's going to start in Frisco, it looks like, because he came to camp with a dead arm. He pitched yesterday in a minor league game. Um, Winston Santos still wearing a brace on that left hand. It's hard to pitch when you can't wear a glove. Now his arm stayed active, but he's not going to be ready to start the year. So then, do you want to put that possibility of a early April start on Leandro Lopez or David Davalillo? They had great springs while they were in big league camp, but neither one of them has pitched above Double A. Yes, they're on the 40. Probably, ideally it would just be one start if they were needed. But do you want to do that to them? Do you want to do that to the team? So this depth is a real issue. These outs are a real issue, and they're things that need to be in mind as they weigh this decision, but also some other decisions that we'll talk about coming on. My take is that Latz will still be in the rotation. He's going to be on the team regardless, right? He can, he's going to be in the bullpen if he's not a starting pitcher. Rangers like what he does as a reliever. He doesn't mind relieving at all. So um, that is definitely something to keep in mind, and the bullpen, the way it shakes out right now, they really don't have anybody with options. And Latz can be optioned. He doesn't deserve to be optioned, but a lot of times baseball's a tough business. Um, if the Rangers were to need an extra arm, let's say he threw 3 innings in relief, and the next day they need an arm, well, it may not work out very well for him, and if that ends up being the case. But yeah, we're probably looking at two bullpen spots. Could Gomber get one? Did Quantrill get one? Boy, I don't know, but it's definitely not as clear of a picture as I was expecting it would be, or that it usually is this time of year. This time of spring, you probably have a pretty good idea. Guys have been told if they're going to make the roster. That could still happen today. That could still happen tomorrow. But it looks like the pitching staff will be unsettled until um, the team heads to Philadelphia. I think they're going to leave. I believe they're going to leave after the exhibition game Tuesday. That's generally how they roll. Um, get some, guys would be told at that point, this is what we're doing, um, because the AAA season starts right around the corner, and are they going to go AAA? Are they going to go to AA? The guys who don't make it, probably AAA. But the point is that they need to know as well, and it's just kind of a common courtesy. So gonna have to wait this one out. Probably gonna have to talk about it again Monday on our next show. Anyway, that's the first segment. I didn't run out of things to say today. Let's go ahead and go to our ad break, and then we will come back and talk about two things that I know are on top of mind for you guys. We'll do that next on the DLS Rangers podcast. Hey guys, game time. One of the OG sponsors at DLLS Sports. They are back with a vengeance, and good timing for you guys as Rangers fans. Again, I continue to check the app for prices. If you decide, hey, I want to go to Philly, guess what? You can get into the ballpark on opening day next Thursday for $106. That's not bad. I looked at the seat map. Not a great seat, as you'd expect for $106, but better than I thought it would be. It is the upper level. But with game time, here's the deal. You can check for prices to events you want to go to. The pricing, it's all in pricing, which means no hidden fees. You can click on the price and it'll show you the view from your seat. April 3rd is when the Rangers have their home opener. Tickets for $130 off there into the right field corner. Same deal. Look, game time. They have a money like a money back guarantee. If it's not the lowest price, they'll give you 110% back. That's pretty good. And then on top of that, if you use the code DLLS, you download the app, you use the code DLLS, you will get $20 off your first purchase. Game time's where it's at. And as John Radigan used to say, game time. All right, Wild Fork Foods. This is pretty good because we just talked about Jacob Latz. And guess what? He's a fan of the show. He listens to it. And he said to me the other day, you guys have some pretty good sponsors. And he mentioned that he goes to Wild Fork Foods all the time, which is pretty cool. So Wild Fork meat and seafood markets, Jake Latz approved. What more do you need? You can go to one of 9 DFW locations. Again, there's a couple more coming to the west side, more in my neck of the woods. But anyway, you can also go to the website, wildforkfoods.com. Become a member there for $29, and you get free next day or even same day delivery. Pretty awesome. Tons of meats. I think probably literally tons. Lots of different cuts. You have your basics, you have your more exotic stuff, you have your seafood, and you have people at the stores who are so knowledgeable, so friendly, willing to tell you how to prepare the meat, recipes that they use, all kinds of stuff. That's at Wild Fork Food, Meat and Seafood Market, 9 DFW locations, or go to their website, wildforkfoods.com. I didn't realize the Mavs crew were having such a good time while I was reading those ads. Um, they always seem to have a good time. KG and Ron, and was Bobby on today's show? Anyway, I'll tell them to shut up next time, or at least pipe down for 2 minutes. And, that's all I ask. 2 minutes. That's all our sponsors want. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about the bench. I know. It's like, oh God, the bench, but that's all that's left. Bench and Jock Peterson. Okay. in the game Wednesday, as we talked about, Andrew McCutchen, he homered, pretty much sealed the deal, right? I mean, it had to. He's batting .533 in 6 games, 1,600 OPS, 3 doubles, a homer, 6 walks, 3 Ks, and he did something in his first at bat that blew Skip Schumacher's mind. I asked after the game, basically, all right, McCutchen's on the team, right? And Skip said, he's doing a really good job. The last at bat was him. That was the home run at bat, right? Deep count after deep count. He got him over the first time up. Just a baseball play. Get him over, get him in. For him to do that, that just shows you that he's a winning player. He's trying to fight to get on a team, and he's also trying to get numbers and produce. And you need a ground ball to second to try to win a game in spring training. That shows you what he's all about. All right, let's put him on the team. Ezekiel Duran, home run Thursday night, as we talked about. He has 3 homers this spring, 933 OPS, 7 walks, 9 Ks. He can play multiple infield positions. He can still play the outfield. Really turned it on as of late. Here's what Skip had to say about Duran. He is hitting it with authority to the pull side. He's also taking his walks. Kind of reminds you of a couple years ago, quite honestly, the way he's playing, and the defense has been excellent lately. So, a lot of encouraging signs, and it's almost forcing himself not only on the team. I think that's pretty evident, but like, how much can we get him in the lineup? All right. So, if the Rangers have 4 bench spots, which they do, catcher, 1, let's go ahead and say McCutchen and Duran. That leaves 1 more for, let's say, 4 guys who are competing for it: Haggerty, Wade. And then what about Mark Canha, the right-handed hitting outfielder? He played first base early in his career, played a little bit of it last year for the Royals, played some more for the Mets before that. I don't believe he's played it here, but he's batting .316 this spring, 886 OPS, 3 home runs, stolen 2 bases, a walk and 6 strikeouts. Um, Again, he's in camp because he's a right-handed bat. He came before Andrew McCutchen, so he probably wasn't thrilled when Andrew McCutchen was added on a minor league deal. Um, again, he can play first, and that potentially could be significant. How about this guy, Alejandro Osuna? Man, he's been great since returning from the WBC. He's batting .345 this spring, 820 OPS, 5 walks, 3 Ks. Now, he is strictly an outfielder, but he can play all 3 of them. Also a left-handed hitter, which could be an issue. Here's what Skip Schumacher said about Osuna, who doesn't really have the same offensive profile as most of the Rangers hitters. Skip expects that Osuna will contribute to the team this season. He's just not sure when, which kind of would suggest he's going to start in the minors. But, and here's where we come to Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson, he played last night. He singled in his last at bat, but he's batting only .182 this spring. All 5 of his hits in 33 at bats have been singles. He has 12 strikeouts also. As we know, huge contract, $18.5 million this year. He batted .181 last season, so I guess .182 is technically improvement. He can DH and play a little first base, but he is a very strict platoon player. Look, it's spring training, so do we put a lot into spring stats? Seems like we're maybe putting something into the Jake Latz starts from last night. If we're being told, oh, Jock's a veteran, he's just following the process needs to move along. Okay, there need to be some results with the process. So we'll ask again, could the Rangers move on from this guy? I don't know. It's a tough one to swallow. $18.5 million, just paying this guy $18.5 million to go away. But you got to ask yourself, if you're the Rangers, is he one of the Rangers' best 13 position players? It's really hard to say right now that he is, right? Very difficult to say that. Does he project to be? Well, that's the stuff that the Rangers are relying on. They're relying on their scouts, their hitting coaches. Are they seeing the right stuff? I would suggest that I just haven't seen it myself. Now I haven't seen him play all spring. That's true. I remember him hitting 1 ball hard, and it was an out, but it was really, really hard hit. Okay. He hit a home run in live batting practice, which is kind of good. He hit it off of Alexis Diaz, which we know isn't good. So it's I don't know. It's hard to say that he is. So who would replace him? Let's say the Rangers are like, all right, we got to cut bait here. We're getting nowhere. Our best team does not include Jock Peterson. Who would replace him on the roster? Well, would you need a left-handed hitter? If so, Osuna. He's a left-handed hitter. Okay. Do you want him to be your primary DH? Well, probably not because he's young, but you also want young guys to get regular at bats. So, you know, there's a good and a bad with that. Mark Canha, now he's a veteran. He's a right-handed hitter though, and you have the right-handed hitter thing was kind of solved um, with McCutcheon. Now, would cutting Peterson cost Haggerty his roster spot? It might if you were to keep Osuna and Canha in that case. Now, doing that, if you were to cut Peterson and I guess at this point you DFA Haggerty, I don't think he can be optioned. So that would create two 40-man spots. So you would need a 40-man spot for McCutcheon. You may need one for Gomber or Quantrill. You may need one for did I say Canna? You may need one for Josh Sports. So that would create some roster flexibility, but I don't know. I think Haggerty, even though he didn't have a good night last night at second base, he's a good option there. He's a switch hitter. He's fast. He can play the outfield. So I like Haggerty on the team. So if he's your third bench player, then Canna and Osuna are SOL unless something happens with Jock Peterson. And boy, again, that's a tough one. But at some point, you have to realize it ain't working out. Do you want to give him regular season at bats? Now, I guess the good thing is that the Phillies are going to start two lefties in the opening series. The Orioles, I don't know if the Rangers would see Rogers or not in that series, so you may see Peterson potentially a lot in that series. And then I shoot the Reds. They have Lodolo and Abbott, who could put are left-handers, and I'm not sure how that rotation is going to shake out, but maybe they start in that home opening series. Would you be playing out of your first, let's say, what is it, 9 games? How many times is Jock Peterson going to play? Is he going to play 5 times, 4 times? So I don't know. If that would hurt you much. I don't know if that would help him get into a rhythm if he's still searching for stuff. So I don't know. This is getting even more difficult. Obviously, they had hoped that all the work he did in the offseason, both with his body and with Justin Veely, trying to figure out his swing, would have paid off or at least shown something more. I think maybe with some results, if Jock had a little more results, he hit 5 home runs last spring. If he'd hit 1 or 2 this spring, and maybe he still can, but let's say he had done that, it's probably an easier sell both to themselves and to the fans that, hey, he's coming around. I don't know. But again, we saw what he did last spring. 5 homers and 3 doubles. Everybody was excited. Like, this guy's going to kill it. He's going to be the difference maker. We know what happened. All right, this spring, he hasn't done anything. Will the reverse happen in spring? Spring stats, remember, aren't supposed to matter. But I think when there's roster battles, they do matter. And I think in this case, they might matter too. So, but we'll see. It may turn into just a short runway in the regular season. I don't know. But I really, really wonder how much the Rangers are talking about this. They have to be. I think they talked about it at times last year. Moving on when Peterson wasn't in very good shape, when he wasn't hitting well. He had a great August. There's no denying that he had a really good August, and that might have be what they're clinging to the promise that it's right there. It just needs to be unlocked. But that key is getting really, really hard to find. There's just no question about that. So yeah, let's say bench for now. The catcher, McCutcheon, Duran, and I'll still stick with Haggerty. But man, I think if Peterson is removed, does that make Cutcheon a full-time DH? Do you try to put a left-handed bat in there? Does that Haggerty, he can bat left-handed. He's a switch hitter, not his best side though. So again, this isn't as clear as I thought it'd be. Again, this is probably going to go down to the last game. We'll have to stay tuned. Now, if anything does pop up tomorrow, that's when typically in past the Rangers have announced a lot of roster moves. If anything significant happens tomorrow, stay tuned for an emergency pod. I think a Jock Peterson decision would definitely warrant an emergency pod. Okay, coming up next, we are going to talk about the spring breakout game. It's going to be on TV. Laura Stickles is two booths down, getting ready for her TV time. Sounds like she's going to be in the dugout talking to guys. You're going to want to watch it if you're a big fan of the prospects, and we'll talk about it right after this. Okay, here we go. Supporters Club, yay! Um, it's the diehard membership for our YouTube channel. You get members only videos that aren't seen anywhere else, and it's like just another way to become a huge sports fan, or not a huge sports fan, a knowledgeable sports fan. And that's why DLS is here. We want you to be the best sports fan you can. We want you to have fun while it happens. That's why these supporter club videos generally are, lighthearted, uh, but always filled with information. Like like how do we go about our jobs at spring training? The last video I did. What's the setup on the backfields, which I hope you got to see. What are the Cowboys doing? What do the Mavs do? Stars. All these things, all these seasoned reporters, guys who've been around the area for a while. Um, you get that with the Supporters Club for a low price. You also get some exclusive emojis. Um, so you go to our YouTube homepage, which is youtube.com/at DLLS_sports. Take you to the homepage. There's a join button. Push that guy. That was a little dirty. Push that guy, and you're in like Flynn. So Supporters Club today. All right, and then merch. Um, St. Patrick's Day is over, so we don't have our St. Patty's Day merch anymore, but that's okay. Go to store.allcitynetwork.com. You still have time to get your Rangers shirts um, to support the team throughout the season, and especially on opening day while you're either there in Philadelphia, or whether you're home or at a bar, or watching the game somewhere where people can see and say, "Hey, what the heck is DLS?" if they don't already know. Um, so yeah, you're promoting your favorite sports podcast network in the area, and the team. Um, we have shirts though for all of our teams. A couple college shirts. We have the pint glasses for the beers, the coffee cups for the beers, flags, all at sort.allcitynetwork.com. If you are a diehard member, which we will talk about a little bit more here in a couple minutes, you get 20% off of our store. The shipping's fast, and the products are just high quality. They really, really are. I don't have one on today. I have the hat, and hey, you didn't hear it from me, but get ready for some Rangers hats next week. Okay? Trust me on this one. It's happening. It's finally happening. You'll have two to choose from next week. Okay? Thank you. They're going to be awesome. All right, let's go. Segment 3, the field, the grounds crew, well, one of them at least, is out there right now getting ready for the spring breakout game. Um, it starts at 3 Central Time. Okay, so what is that, an hour and a half? Holy moly. It's against the Royals prospects. Game is on CW 33. And the Rangers have been so kind as to post the lineup for today's game. And that's the roster. A lot of guys. The lineup is out there as well. The Rangers player development site released that, and the Rangers retweeted it. Today's lineup includes batting leadoff, Anthony Gutierrez, Maxton Martin at first base, Malcolm Moore catching, Paxton Kling left field, Dylan Dryland right field, Joel Frank Castillo shortstop. I'm thinking that's Elorgi Rodriguez, DHing Jack Wheeler at third, and Josh Owens, a two-way player, at second. And then Dalton Pence, the 2024 11th rounder who was in big league camp. He is starting tonight's game, or today's game. So what was my takeaway from the roster, which Elijah showed there to start? You look at it, and this is a really, really young group of prospects. There are four players who are in big league camp: Gavin Collier, Eric Loomis, Dalton Pence, Josh Trenadu. Um, Collier, though, is the only player on this roster who has been to AAA. So that kind of tells you the youth, if you will. Some notable absences: Sebastian Walcott, of course, he's hurt. Cam Colley, who was on the initial roster, played a lot, played a lot in big league camp. Winston Santos, we talked about with the hand, and Jose Corniel with the dead arm. Leandro Lopez and David Davalillo not in it, despite their great big league camps. They're staying on schedule. And then Caden Scarborough, who's dealing with the malignant melanoma removal. Talked to him yesterday. He is hopefully going to get on a mound next week. He is throwing again, probably not getting out until sometime in mid to late April, getting out of Arizona, joining an affiliate. Depends on how much they want to build him up or let him continue his build up with whoever he goes to, assuming that'll be Hub City where he finished last year. Both of the two-way players, Josh Owens, who is at second base, and Song Joon Kim, we'll just call him SJ, the Korean prospect who signed for $1 million last May. They're both in this game. Be interesting to see how they are. And then you kind of look at these groups position by position. Um, I think that, boy, I don't know. I was kind of torn. I think the infield group is pretty interesting, a little bit more interesting than the outfielders. Kind of taking a look at that group. Castillo and Rodriguez, two young guys from the recent classes, international classes. Jack Wheeler, who everybody's really intrigued by. What was he, the sixth round pick last year? Curly Martha, who missed a lot of last year. Pablo Guerrero, so we're hoping for those Guerrero bloodlines to come through. Glider Figueroa might be the Rangers' best power hitter in the minors when you really stop and think about it. Needs to cut down on the strikeouts, get the average up. Antonis Macias, and then Maxim Martin had a great year last year. Really, really good year. He's a good player. He can play the infield. He can play the outfield. Left-handed bat, like Maxton. He was on the weekly podcast early last year. Good kid. So he's just an interesting guy. The catcher, Malcolm Moore, first round pick in 24. Dylan Dreiling, the second round pick that same year, and Anthony Gutierrez. I think these are pretty pivotal seasons for those guys. Moore and Dreiling did not have good seasons last year. Now there's been a change in the hitting philosophy, a new minor league hitting coordinator. We'll see if that pays off for them. And then Gutierrez, he just needs to stay healthy, right? Gosh, keep this guy healthy. He's got a chance. Skip Schumacher, the very insightful Skip Schumacher, had some thoughts about the breakout game. I don't know that the Rangers were too fond of what he said. Now he likes the prospects game in that it brings attention to the farm system and to prospects who maybe are getting like top 30 traction. You can read about them, but you don't really get to see them. Farm systems shouldn't be ignored. If I'm the Rangers, I'm telling their affiliates, hey, if a reporter calls, line something up. Selfishly, I'm doing that too because it's always nice to have those minor leaguers on the weekly show. Now, there are some future big leaguers in this group, maybe some this season, like Gavin Collier could be with the Rangers this season, 100%. Now, the flip side, Skip says, is there some deserving prospects who aren't as ballyhooed right now, who might be getting ignored? And Skip was like, that was me. And Skip turned into a pretty good big leaguer. He was around for a long, long time. So, how does that affect those guys? They're like, well, I'm better than this guy, but so that's kind of an interesting thought on it. I didn't consider that side of it. But yeah, I think when you look at the Rangers farm system, again, we know it's not highly rated. They've traded from it quite a bit, including in January when they sent 5 prospects, including Gavin Feen, the first rounder last year, to Washington for Mackenzie Gore. Also sent Alejandro Rosario, one of my all-time favorite, just guys. Just when I look back at all these years, minor league players and draftees, young guys who have impressed me as people, he is probably at the top of the list. A guy who so mature, so thoughtful, so prepared for life. His mom did a wonderful job with him in Miami. Of course, he's bilingual, handles all that stuff. I wish Walcott was playing, but he's not. Um, so yeah, so the farm system's a little thin, and then when you don't have those starting pitchers, Corniel and Santos, pitching in this game, again, this game doesn't really matter, but it's still it you drop down. Well, who's next on the pecking order? Who's the next man up? And it's two guys, Lopez and Davalillo. Great stuff. Different pitchers. Leandro Lopez throws harder. Davalillo's more of a control change speed guy, which is fine. Um, but again, they're not. They're to the Rangers if they need a starter. Do they really want to go to those guys? So that gets all the way back to Quantrill and Gomber. You know, it gets back to Rocker. Are the Rangers better off having Rocker at AAA because he is he would become their first line of depth, and he'd be a really good line of depth. You wouldn't be calling up somebody who maybe isn't ready, or so. I don't know. Going to Tyler Alexander at that point. Do you then call up a reliever and say, "All right, Tyler Alexander, you're in the rotation"? I don't know. It's tough. But this does indicate, of course, there's a lot of young talent, a lot of guys who maybe in 2 or 3 years, in Wheeler's case, 4 years, in Rodriguez's case, 4 years, who are then knocking on the door. I mean, we're talking teenagers here. Okay, a couple of these guys are teenagers. Owens and Kim, what become of them? I've heard people who think that they're both going to eventually be pitchers, the two-way guys, but they're getting a shot. The Rangers are giving them a shot and seeing how it plays out. So I'd imagine that shot will last a couple of years before they finally make a choice there. Although Owens did show well as a hitter last year, and when he got to Hickory, played really really well as a position player. So I think that's a possibility. Where do these guys start? Somebody asked me on Twitter yesterday, when are the break camp rosters due? I'm guessing next week these guys will have an understanding of where they're going. Uh, you know, I would expect that Kim stays in Arizona for extended, probably Wheeler as well. The Rangers have in the past used extended as a way to curtail these guys when they get to a full season affiliate, um, to not put too much load on them early on. I could see like Maxton Martin though, Double A, Gutierrez. That's a tough placement. Moore and Dreiling too. I mean, they did not have great high A seasons. Do they go back to Hub City? And if so, does that push some guys to Hickory who are probably deserving of a promotion? Don't know, but I think the Frisco Media Day, I believe, is going to be March 31st. Round Rock will probably have its media day before then. Um, you'll have the rosters. You'll know who's going to be where. Where does Cam Colley end up? Does he end up back at Frisco for a month? But and has to earn really cement his promotion. That's what the Rangers did last year with Osuna. Osuna had the great spring. There are some guys who want on the opening day roster. All right, I'm looking at you, Tony Beasley. Uh, but instead he started at Double A, but quickly got to Triple A. So how is this going to work out? I think that's something that will be determined next week. And again, health. These guys got to get through it healthy. All of that stuff. And look, from camp so far, no comment, no word about any injuries. So that's good. Um, yeah, there you go. Prospects game. We'll all be watching. It'll be fun. All right, last segment incoming. We're going to do batting cleanup as we always do. Lots and lots of roster moves and injuries and things like that across baseball. Some disciplinary stuff that went down. And then I have some questions for you guys about our schedule that will be coming up during the season. We're still trying to work through it. Why don't you guys tell us? We'll get to that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Okay, spring training is winding down, which means this deal is winding down. our spring training 26 deal to become a diehard member for 1 year, $36. All right. You can't beat that. You get the free t-shirt. I've been out here. This is my third trip. I will be going to opening day. I'll be covering the team throughout the year, um, mostly from home, but definitely some road trips in there. And look, this is fantastic deal. $3 a month if you want to break it down by month. If you want to break it down by day, that's like 99.9 cents a day. Um, you really can't beat this offer. It's cheaper than any other outlet in our area. And it's not just Rangers coverage you're getting. It would be a great deal for Rangers coverage only, but you get all of our stars, all of our Mavs, all of our Cowboy stuff that's behind the paywall. You get access to everything we write, and there's good stuff. I've got a lot of stuff coming here in the next week as we get to opening day, as minor leagues begin their seasons. There's good stuff. Um, and I want you to do this. And like I said during the merch segment, you get 20% off of merch. You get 20% off our events. And we are still planning to have events with the Rangers. We have an idea of going to Frisco. We have an idea of getting a section, maybe not the whole section, but you get my point. A lot of seats for a Rangers game someday. Maybe we could do lunch at the ballpark. I don't know. There are a lot of a lot of things we can do here and hope to do uh, as DLS continues to grow and take a really dig our roots. We've dug some roots. We got some roots to dig in, but now we want them to hold and to sprout up into this big, beautiful set of trees and stay here for the long term. So become a diehard member. That's the plan. That's the way things are trending. Oh yeah, hey, let's go to the last segment now. Batting cleanup. Um, McJowers, AJ Russell. Good point. He is not on this roster either. You know, he didn't pitch a ton last year coming off of the elbow brace surgery. So Ben Abelt, same situation. The former TCU pitcher, the fifth rounder last year. Russell was the second rounder. So I would imagine there are some injury concerns, not concerns, but wear and tear, workload concerns for that. Okay, batting cleanup. There's the logo. Let's take a look around the league, and we'll go ahead and start with the latest on some injury stuff, and we will head immediately to the American League West, where Angels starter Grayson Rodriguez. He's a native Texan. He's the oft injured former Orioles first rounder and prospect. He has arm fatigue. He likely won't be ready for opening day. He's been playing catch. He said he's had this before and isn't worried about it. But, I'd worry about it. Jose Soriano, another right-hander, will be the Angels' opening day starter. Great stuff, 100 miles per hour, just hasn't figured it all out. Maybe Mike Maddox has something for him. Blue Jays rookie Trey Savage, the postseason hero who barely pitched before going to the postseason. He will start the season on the IL with a shoulder impingement. He's already cleared that hurdle, and he's throwing, but it's just not enough time left to build him up. So he becomes the third starter from the reigning American League champions, who will open the season on the IL along with Shane Bieber, like a forearm or elbow deal, and Jose Barrios, who just has that stress fracture in his elbow. Hooray for that. Back to the West, Astros left-handed reliever Bennett Sosa has an oblique strain, and he will start the season on the injured list. It's likely going to keep him out longer than the minimum 15 days. He had a really good year last year for them. And as we know, Josh Hader, their closer, is going to start on the IL, so that leaves Brian Abreu, Adolis Garcia's best friend, leaves him as the closer. So the Astros are going to start with some bullpen issues on the medical front. Still don't know how long Hader's going to be out either. Speaking of Adolis, he is starting to heat up a little bit for the Phillies. He had a 4-hit game, and then he hit his first spring home run. They've made a tweak to his swing. I saw a tweet about it. The bat, instead of it pointing towards the pitcher, a la Julio Franco, is now more straight up. They think that's going to make it a faster swing. Boy, we've all heard that before, haven't we? All he's got to do is make his swing quicker. Well, it's one of the slowest swings in baseball, one of the longest swings in baseball. A lot of power behind him when he hits the ball, but Hmm. Okay, White Sox. This isn't a big move, but it kind of has has a little meaning of foreshadowing maybe of what could happen. They have sent right-handed pitcher Alexander Alberto back to the Rays per Rule 5 rules. Alberto was placed on waivers Monday and cleared. So after the pitcher, a Rule 5 player clears waivers, the next step is offering him back to the team that lost him, and they take him back for 50,000. In this case, and in any case, the White Sox and Rays could have worked out a trade for him, but alas, they did not. So why is that important? We all know the Rangers have a Rule 5 guy currently on their 40-man roster, Carter Baumler, who again pitched well so far this spring. He's in the thick of it. He's in the hunt for to be on the roster. Has to stay on the roster all year. Can't be optioned. All that stuff that we've talked about. So anyway, the process has played out in White Sox camp about 20 minutes away from us here. News from this morning: Liam Hendriks, the former great closer, all-star closer who dealt with cancer, Hodgkin's disease, I believe it was. He has cleared those hurdles. Um, he took his out with the Twins. Had a pretty good spring apparently, and maybe another team will latch onto him. Veteran guy who's closed games. Don't know that his best days are ahead of him anymore. But Liam Hendriks is now free to sign with anybody, and this is kind of big news. And again, another Rangers tie-in. The Nationals optioned Dylan Cruz to the minor leagues today. Their outfielder from LSU, teammates with Paul Skeens in 2023. He was the second overall pick. Do I have that right? Or maybe the first. I don't remember if Skeens went first or if Cruz went first. In any event, he went ahead of Wyatt Langford, who is, the Rangers, has been the Rangers opening day roster the last 3 years. And, now has people talking about him being an MVP, being in the MVP race. He's having a great spring. Dylan Cruz, it looks like, still trying to figure things out. Some WBC news: record TV ratings as they doubled across the board from 2023. The title game had nearly a million viewers, which 5.4 million in 23, and all the other games saw their ratings double, over a million for every game, average wise. That's pretty sharp. Some PED news: Jerkson Profar's appeal of his 162 game suspension was denied. So it is now official. He is forfeiting a $15 million salary this year. Gives the Braves some financial flexibility. Yastrzemski is going to be an everyday outfielder, it looks like, or at least the strong side platoon. He doesn't hit lefties well. I remain miffed and sad and stunned at this development. Again, I've known Jerks for so long, and did a lot of work with him behind the scenes and trying to become media friendly and things like that. He's pretty rough with the media, and man, this one gets me still. And then some other suspension news: the two gamblers, Emmanuel Clase, another Rangers tie-in, jeez, and the other guy Ortiz. Their suspensions have been moved from paid suspensions to unpaid suspensions, and I am fine with that. These guys, um, especially Clase, who again has been described to me and for years as not the brightest bulb in the socket. Um, they broke the code. That's the first rule you learn, and so they deserve whatever is coming to them. I think of the two, the Ortiz kid has a chance to maybe face a lesser penalty, but I'm Emmanuel Clase. I'm looking for work somewhere, so I don't think his future is in baseball. Okay, so I mentioned that I was going to ask you guys some questions about the in-season schedule. Something I was looking at today on the schedule early in the season. So let's talk about it. If there is a day game, Thursday getaway day game during the season, so a daytime start, would you guys rather me do a post-game show off of that series, off of that game, or wait until a Friday show at the normal time? All right. I'll collect your answers in a moment. Question number two: if getaway day is a Wednesday, this isn't a question. If getaway day is a Wednesday, it's looking like we will do a post game show, which makes sense. We'll just move our normal time from 1 to whenever the game ends. The other one, Sunday day games, Sunday getaway days. Would you guys rather do a post game show or wait until Monday? Not sure how we're going to go on that one because a lot of people on Sunday, especially at 5 o'clock, are busy. And again, on the getaway days, with now that I'm solo, we can't start until 30 minutes after the game. The Rangers post-game show has to end before they will let me hop on the air at the ballpark, assuming this is air, hop on and do a live show. Has to be the RSN show has to be over. Now, if it's a road game, getaway day, I can do it, start right after the game for all intents and purposes. So let's see what you guys had to say about that. If you've said anything at all, let's see. No one has said anymore. Well, all right, come on, let's get some answers. Oh, how about Sports Zone? Friday at normal time and wait until Monday. Okay, Benny Bullock, Monday. Okay, I'm not against that, fellas. To be honest with you, um, I think we can. I think we can take all of that under consideration. Um, okay, Cordua. Let's go to the questions now. We got what 4 minutes to fill up here. Cordua, I don't think DeRosa will be asked to manage USA again. I agree with you. Um, I would be all for that. Up Wenvy, what happened to John Radigan? Hopefully he'll be back. We'll just leave it at that. Would the Rangers take a flyer on Hendricks? I don't think so at this point. Um, I think when you kind of look at their bullpen candidates still in camp, who's better, Liam Hendricks or Ryan Brazier? Non-roster deal. Who's better, Luis Curvelo or those two guys? Well, Curvelo's on the 40-man and can be optioned, and I think that's definitely in play. Um, um, got some good jock talk. Um, could they DFA him? They could, or I don't know if they would. I guess I don't know that anybody would pick him up is the thing. So what's the purpose of a DFA? Outright release him, and a team can pick him up for the league minimum. If he, if a team were to claim him, they would have to pay the full salary. Cordua thinks late April, mid to late April, they'll move on from Jock. We'll see. There's a lot of off days, a lot of weird stuff in that schedule. So I don't know. I really don't. Integrated security systems. Oh, experts. I'm glad you're back. I didn't see you for a while. Haggerty should be the fourth guy because he can play the infield and the outfield. I'm kind of agreeing with you on that. Oh, we got some Cody Bradford talk. Number 5 starter is most likely a placeholder for Bradford. Benny, I agree, though I don't know that it would be an immediate thing. I wonder, like you could complete Cody's buildup in the majors. You could ease him into major league action again as a reliever. I mean, he hasn't pitched a major league game since 2024. You always kind of wonder about the adrenaline at that point, things that you don't realize. Although I think Cody can is cool and composed and heady enough to not get too amped up. But I would think nobody could fault him if he did. I think that you're right, though. Ultimately, the Rangers see him as a starting pitcher, so that's a depth piece, but it's not going to be around for the first, let's say, 6 weeks of the season, 6 to 8 weeks, if you want to start him off in the bullpen and build him up that way. So, still an important need for some quality depth in the minors. Wes asks, how was Gore's command this spring? I think it's been better. He has to avoid deep counts. They all have to avoid deep counts. And hopefully that's the case. That's something he's been working on and something that Jack's been working on. And that's part of the reason for the cutter. Jack is hoping that he can get it into lefties and that it will produce some early contact and weak outs. But again, 15 pitches is generally like the ceiling. You don't want to go above 15. Anything 15 or lower you can live with. That gets you, you know, maybe to the 7th, which is a quite an accomplishment these days. Um, McJowers, get Jake some Aquifer. I told him last night, get some Vaseline and stick it up your nostrils. Um, that's always been my trick. Carmex or Vaseline. Carmex kind of burns a little. All right. Anyway, we've already hit 2 o'clock. So that means it's time to shut this one down. We will be back Monday, before the Rangers play the Royals. Normal time. I don't think the Rangers are doing their food tasting just yet, so it's looking like normal time Monday, 1 o'clock. I will probably be in studio where I can see the great Elijah in person. Thank him for all of his good work. Thank you guys for hanging in there. And look, pay attention this week to my Twitter account, or this weekend to my Twitter account, Jeff Wilson TXR. Again, if something big were to happen tomorrow on the last day of camp, I've already prepared Kat to be ready to do an emergency podcast. So maybe that happens. I hope it does. If not, we will see you Monday on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.